All right, YouTube Repo Man 64. I took off the background for a little while because it seems to affect my head. I guess it blacks part of my head out or something. I don't know. People were complaining. I try not to tailor my videos around complaints because the complaints are so few and far in between. For the most part, 99% of you are like, yeah, it's fine. I've gotten some complaints now about the amount of time I spend explaining why the rapture, I believe, will be on March 16th, 2025. I just got off of a live with Derek. Um, um, really bad about names. I'm terribly sorry about that. Josh over at End Times Talk, Derek at Bible Study. I'm sorry. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Black Swan Revelation with Shane, Derek at hold on. I should have looked this up before I got here. Um, Bible Study with Derek, I think it is. Sorry, Derek, I'm really bad about that name stuff, but I had a really good time, and we were on there for 2.5 hours. Now, while I feel like I need to invest as much time as I do in explaining why I think the rapture is going to be on March 16th, not to convince you, but to present my point of view on that date. Um, I do understand that there are those of you who don't want to invest 3 hours to watch something. You want me to consolidate it. So that's what I'm going to attempt to do today. I'm going to attempt to consolidate why I think the rapture is on March 16th. We know the order of these things. The Luke group knows the order of these things. And we know that the rapture is first. While we're in heaven, we will see these seals open. When John shows up, to witness all of these events take place, the seals being open, um, we will have already been there. We were there first before John shows up. After John shows up, he begins seeing all these seals open. So we're already there. And I'll get into the picture here. Let me share because I'll forget to do that. All right, let's go here. And let me move my picture up out of the way. There we are. We are now on February the 16th, right here. It's a DAR 4. I, again, am not trying to convince anybody that it's a DAR 4, but just numerically, why is the day of equal parts? Why does the day of equal parts happen both on March 16th and on September the 24th? I didn't understand for the longest time until I got into the uh, 6,000 year timeline, understanding the Shemitah cycles forever. And it took so long for me to evacuate that out of my brain that a Jubilee cycle is 50 years. It is not. It is 50 years, 49 years, sorry. And it took me, and I'm still doing it. It's stuck in my head, and it took me forever to get it out of there. And when I did, the numbers all fell into place. So I ask you, why is the day of equal parts on March 16th? And here on Tishri 10, September, add 12 hours, it's September the 25th. We have that day extra. It's very difficult to line up a 365-day calendar with a 364-day calendar. We know the calendar is 364 days because there are no other dates left over by the time we get down to the bottom. Adar 31 is the last day. You can't take out the four Kasseys. You can't remove them. They're over here. Kislev 31. It happens, Elul 31. It happens 4 times a year. If you take them out, then you can't have a correct count from the first day of creation on a Sunday, count all the way through the year, and land on the cross on a Wednesday. You can't do it. You also can't scroll back on your phone to 30 AD and say, well, that day wasn't a Wednesday. It doesn't work that way. You cannot line up day for day the Hebrew calendar with the Gregorian. It just doesn't work. Doesn't work. But it's understandable why it doesn't work. There are actually 364 days in a year. But in order to keep solar noon, the Earth has to continue to tick forward 4 minutes each day as it goes around the sun. If we don't start creation on Elul 28, September the 11th, we will not have the Day of Trumpets, which is the first day of time. Time is created back here on day 4. And if you don't have Tishri 1 landing on September the 15th, you will not have Nisan 1 landing on a Wednesday. So I've justified this timeline to the best of my ability and explained it to everyone to the best of my ability. And this is not a salvational issue. Knowing any of this stuff is not a salvational issue. Your only salvational issue is knowing that Jesus Christ came here, died on a cross, rose on the third day, and he did that for you. That's how important you are. He did that. If you were the only one that would have accepted his free gift, then he would have gone through this for you. We see that in time and time again, where Abraham is up looking over Sodom and Gomorrah, and God's like, I'm going to destroy the whole thing. And Abraham is like, but what if there's 50? What if there's 30? God is giving us an example that even if you were the only person on the face of the earth that will take that cup and drink from it. Real life examples. Take that cup and drink from it. If you were the only one, he would have still gone to the cross for you. He went to the cross for all of us, everyone on the planet. Doesn't matter what religion you call yourself, he went there to pay for your sins. And in his own way, he will call each one that will come to him. He'll call all of us. He'll offer the free gift to everyone. But he foreknew who would accept that free gift. It's not, when we discuss predestination, it sounds nice on the onset, but it really isn't. From our perspective, and what we say is predestination is the simple fact that God knew beforehand who would accept that free gift. We are going to be raptured out of here in a pre-seal rapture. After we're raptured out of here, the seals will begin to become open. What is the purpose of the seals? Well, as we read through the seals, we see that in the seals, in the sixth seal, the great multitude appears. So we can speculate out of that. We can determine out of that. The reason for the seals are to bring in the great multitude. The great multitude does not appear in heaven after any trumpets are blown or after any bowls are blown. So as I built this timeline, I find a 7-year and 6-month Daniel's 70th week, whatever you want to call it. But we know for a fact that God is going to turn his attention back to Israel for, let me turn this light down. I'm getting a sunburn. Oh, wow, that's bright. Okay. God owes Israel 7 years, the 70th week of Daniel. It is 7 years. We can keep changing the date of creation. We can keep changing the date of Israel becoming a nation to 49, 50, whatever you want. But that doesn't change the fact that tribulation will be 7 years. It won't be 5, 5.5, 6, 6.5. It will be 7. For those who are still trying to use Israel becoming a nation as their timeline for the rapture, you're incorrect, because that's for Israel. That has nothing to do with us. We are a set apart group. Not only is the bride, or those that rule and reign with Christ, a separated group, but so are these other people, this great multitude. They are going to appear in heaven as well. They are not the same group. They are a different group. Seal 6 is a different group of people. But as we've learned from We Are the Overcomers, Wayne, there are more than one rapture. It could be that they begin to appear in heaven immediately, or 10 days after the rapture has occurred. I believe the first seal will be opened 10 days after the rapture has occurred. I think that the first seal will be open on March 26th, and I think the rapture will occur on March 16th. Could I be wrong? Absolutely, I could be wrong. But I don't think I'm wrong. Mathematically, I know I'm not wrong, that the Jubilee cycle will begin on March 17th or March 16th at sunset and begin a 1-year Jubilee. The 49th year will be complete on March 16th, and it will begin the first year of the next 49-year Shemitah cycle, and it will also begin the Jubilee, which will last the entire year all the way up to March 16th of 2026. So, with that being said, any one of these dates that we've been finding to be numerically sound over the last 7 years or even hundreds of years, any one of these dates could be the correct date, but we were in the wrong year this whole time. Now, towards the end, these things are being revealed to us. The Jubilee cycle is counted by 49, not by 50. We have to take something that's been stuck in our brains and why did we do it? Well, we did it because Noah was given 120 years and we just went 50-year Jubilee cycle, 6,000 years. The problem is we passed that. We already passed that. It's now going to come up on 6,028 years, 28 and a half years, because it all started in September and it will finish in March, per my conclusion. So, without dragging this on too long, mathematically, this timeline is sound. Jesus went to the cross on a Wednesday. Wednesday is the day time was created. Thursday is the first day of time. Mankind or anything with the breath of life could not exist on this planet until time was established. We cannot live outside of time. We will be living outside of time here very shortly. There will be a hierarchy in heaven. The people who are the enlisted, we'll use the military as a perfect example. There are those that are enlisted, and there are those that wear the brass. They're the what do you have? You have the enlisted, and you have the officers. We will be the officers. The enlisted people that are in the military are very happy. They're fine. They're doing their job. They're not upset. They didn't miss out on anything. That's what they were chosen for. That's what they saw, and that's what they understood. There is a massive group of people, and I talk to them all the time, perhaps getting them over to the ranks of officer and tell them that, in fact, the rapture occurs before the seals, but they're diehard. We're going in seal 6. I see us there in seal 6. They're inaccurate from our perspective, but from their perspective, they're correct. Do we waste a lot of time on those people? Do we care that they're about to go into tribulation? And I say no. I was at the store today, and I walked in, and the guy behind the counter was very chipper. We were the only two people in the store. And I said, hey, how you doing today? He said, I'm doing fantastic, probably better than I should be. I don't know if he won the lottery. I would doubt he was there if he had done that, but he said he was doing fantastic, better than he should be. And I go get what I want. I come back. He's like, how are you doing? I said, I am also doing fantastic, probably better than I should be. And he said, well, that's good. What's going good with your life? I said, well, in my life, I belong to a unique group of people that are researching out when Jesus is going to come back and rapture us out of here. And he said, huh. I said, have you ever heard of the rapture? And that was my open door. Do I spend time trying to convince somebody that you're not in seal 6 and that you go before seal 6? Do I waste the time on them, or do I talk to this guy so that when the rapture occurs, he knows what happened, that he might go in seal 6? You see what I'm saying? Do we invest our time? And I am of the mindset, the answer is no. If you insist you're going in seal 6, then guess what? You're going in seal 6, but at least you're going to heaven. That's an amazing thing. You'll be enlisted among the enlisted ranks. You will be serving God in his temple day and night, and it'll be something that you absolutely love. But what am I supposed to do? convince you that you're wrong and that you should become, an officer. You know how many people would actually hate to be an officer? They don't want to be an officer. They want to be enlisted. They want more freedoms. They don't want to rule over people. And I'm not saying they want to be told what to do, but they want to have their freedom and do different things. Okay, let's just put it at that. But what I want this guy not to go to hell. And he's doing better than he probably should be doing, right? But was he really? He says, well, I don't really study the Bible and I haven't been to church in a long time. I said, that's probably a good thing. I said, there's a whole group of people on YouTube that are trying every single day to figure out when the rapture is going to occur. And he said, huh, that's very interesting. I think I'm going to go check that out. So what did I do? I took somebody that had zero interest and zero thoughts whatsoever towards the rapture, and I planted a seed. That's it. That's all I had to do. I didn't have to convince him, stay there, and make him get down on his knees while I put my hand on his head and pray. While that would have been amazing if that happened. That didn't happen, but I planted a seed in that gentleman, and he's going to see an event and it's going to take place. We know it's going to take place. We just don't know exactly when. I haven't had that angel visit the foot of my bed telling me this is it. This is when we're going. That hasn't happened yet. So all that being said, and I want to word this properly in a nice way. Don't waste your time on the tribulation saint. You're wasting your time. They're already somewhat believers, but they haven't accepted the free gift yet. They haven't accepted the free gift of salvation. They're counting on their works, but we don't need to worry about them. We need to worry about the people who have heard nothing. That guy now, that he just heard me say that, will be inclined to say, it wasn't aliens. I just heard this crazy guy talking about a whole group of people that are trying to determine when the rapture is going to occur. And suddenly, guess what? Something happened where a bunch of people disappeared. I think I'm going to believe in that. And then he goes and finds out all you got to do is accept this free gift. You don't have to do anything else. Just accept the free gift and you're going to heaven. So that was a beautiful moment. I absolutely love the moment that took place. And I believe wholeheartedly that when the rapture occurs, he is going to say to himself, interesting. Like I started out this program saying, there are 2 days of equal parts. Anybody can go in time and date. You can look it up yourself. They will say that the Revelation 12 sign occurred on the Feast of Trumpets. It did not. It occurred on the Day of Atonement. It never changes. On this timeline, the dates stay the same all the time. We only have to account for the extra 4 minutes a day, but the Revelation 12 sign took place at exactly midnight in Israel. The moon finally became under her feet on September the 24th at midnight, exactly. And then, of course, we have to deal with these 12 hours, but it becomes the next day. So what we see on the Day of Equal Parts appears, what they will show you is September the 25th, but it's actually September the 24th on this timeline. Why does the Day of Equal Parts happen here? And where did it go? I lost it. Oh, here, right here. Sorry. 10 days earlier, it happens no, it doesn't. It happens. Oh, it's down here. I got confused. It's 6 months and 10 days apart from March to September. And then from September to March, it's 5 months and 20 days apart. But the Day of Equal Parts happens right here. That's a fact. And until I figured out that in the 49th year, on the Day of Atonement, 10 days after what they would call trumpets, you blow the trumpet in the 49th year on Tishri 10, that's when they blow trumpets. That was exactly 7 years from the Revelation 12 sign. It was a blowing of trumpets heralding in an event that's coming. And that event was, because the Revelation 12 sign fit, and because there's several different things that fit to being 2025. This is what I was just talking about right here on March 17th in 2024, all the way through March 16th of 2025, the Revelation 12 sign, the 7th year anniversary. This is the 1 year out of 49 years that you will blow trumpets on the 10th day in the 7th month on Tishri 10. This is where you will change trumpets every year here. Here you'll blow trumpets, here you'll blow trumpets, here you blow trumpets on Tishri 1, Tishri 1, all these 49 years. But there's one time where you will blow trumpets on the 10th day in the 7th month. And what are you doing? Do you blow trumpets on the 10th day and 7th month in the Jubilee year? No, it already started. You would be 6 months and 10 days too late. You blow trumpets back here in the 49th year. As a matter of fact, the Bible in Leviticus is talking about the 49th year while it tells you to blow trumpets in the 10th day of the 7th month. And ironically, not so ironically, this was the 7-year anniversary of the Revelation 12 sign, which had a lot of us up watching, wondering, is this it? No, this is when they blew trumpets. This was the 7-year anniversary of the Revelation 12 sign. This meant that from this moment here, we had 5 months and 20 days until the Jubilee begins. At this moment, at sunset on March 16th, at this moment on March 16th, at sunset, right now coming up here, and I think it's 28, 27 days, all contracts will be null and void. Every contract that was written back here in these 49 years will be over. Everything is returned back to the original owner on this day, on March 17th. However, and why I give credence to anybody else finding another date a little bit further on. First of all, March 17th it just fits. You can use the moon all you want, and you can say it's April the 8th. You can sit back and say the Jews had it wrong. They missed Jesus, but we're going to still follow their moon. To me, that's a mistake, but again, not a salvational issue. So the Jubilee begins on March 17th. All contracts are null and void. You can't write a new contract. Well, I'm sorry, you can write a new contract, but you cannot reap. You can write a new contract here, but nothing can happen until March 16th at sunset, becoming March 17th of the 50th year Jubilee and the first year. That's why we had the numbers down at the bottom, because that takes a whole year to get there. In 2026, March 17th is when any contract you sign here, now you can reap the benefits of that contract all the way here. You can use farming if you'd like, or any other item. If they were to obey God and do what Levitical law says, then you would see that contracts written here, which is okay, will go into effect here on March 17th in the second year of the Shemitah. And it will run for 49 years, just like that. Why do I know that 2025 started in 2024, but will end here on March 16th in 2025 is actually, we've been saying, oh, it's the Jubilee all this time, but again, they've been counting by 50 and they were wrong. How do I know this is actually accurate? Aside from the day of equal parts happening, I wondered and I prayed for years. I'm like, God, kind of missed out on an opportunity here. Why would the day of equal parts happen on the Day of Atonement? It makes no sense. And I could not put it together, because to me, this was the 50th year, and this is where you blew trumpets 10 days later. It made no sense to me. I didn't understand. So how do I know that this is actually the Jubilee and it's not some previous year, some future year? Right here. Let me get closer. Right here. On March 26th, now that is Tishri 10, on Tishri 10 in 4006 BC, Nisan 10, I said Tishri. Now Nisan 10, which happens to be the triumphant entry of Jesus when he came in on the donkey and the colt, exactly 70 Jubilee cycles, so 49. 70 times 49, not 70 times 50, is 3,430 years. It will take you, always account for this 0 year. We always have to account for, if we don't account for this 0 year, you're going to wind up in 2026. But 1406 to 2025 perfectly lands us on, again, contracts end on March 16th, Nisan 1 in the year 2025. That's perfect, right? That's another avenue to prove that that is when those contracts end, when the Jubilee cycle begins on March 16th at sunset, becoming March 17th, 2025, Nisan 1. Now, we can debate the sliver moon and we can debate all this other stuff, but you won't find a date earlier than mine. Mine starts first, and I don't know what that means to anybody, even if it should. But if you say that uh, Nissan 10 is April the 8th, I can't imagine how you count that and be accurate from the flood to the cross of being 150 days. I don't know how you do that, but that's fine. So we have one avenue. We we have one avenue from the triumphant entry to us being the triumphant entry into heaven. And again, always keep in mind that while the bride is important, the rest of the body is important. It's not just us. There's another great multitude or another group that will appear in heaven. They are just as important. Who are you going to? If you are a officer, you need groups of people to rule over. And I'm not saying that we're ruling over them, like dominating them or anything, but they will be doing their task during the millennium and probably throughout time, honestly. And they're going to love their jobs. They're going to love their jobs. Now, this second path we have to this date is the Jubilee. And I've made it, that is not the I thought I crossed that off already. This is not the Jubilee because it was stuck in my head and I was counting by 50. So that is not a Jubilee beginning. But at sunset, it begins exactly 2,000 years to 2025. The problem is Jesus took his ministry in September 26th on the Day of Atonement, which was 5 days before his birthday of Tabernacles on September the 30th. But we have to give back. And I'm not saying if this were the only count, if this were it, I wouldn't present this to you. The only way I know that I can present this to you is because this fits the 70 times 49, 30 years divided by uh, 70 brings you to March 16th of 2025. So the second path I have to get to that date is the 556 days. That's the year and 10 days that Noah spent on the ark, not performing his penalty. His arraignment was that he had to till the ground. He wasn't doing that on that ark. He had no ground to till. And God just randomly in Exodus 12 changes the head of the year from, or he moves. I don't like to use the word change because then there's these other groups of people that say God doesn't change. No, he doesn't. But he sure did move the head of the year from Tishri to Nisan 1, from Tishri 1 to Nisan 1. And the day of equal parts fits that to a T. So when you add them up, they are 556 days. And how incredible is it that when you put those 556 days back into it, exactly 556 days from the day Jesus on the Day of Atonement, well, the Holy Spirit landed on him 40 days earlier, but this is the day that he started his ministry on the Day of Atonement, 5 days before his birthday. How incredible is it that when I take those 556 days, I come back and it lands absolutely perfectly on March 16th, 556 days from the Day of Equal Parts to the Day of Equal Parts. And then exactly from there, 2,000 years later, it lands on March 16th, 2025. Now, what's going to happen on March 26th of 2025? I speculated, and I'm not 100% sure, but it sure does fit. We have seals, we have trumpets, and we have bowls. I know that they don't overlap because in the seventh seal is the seven trumpets. It does not overlap. They can't overlap if the seventh seal is the trumpets. So and in the sixth seal, we see a lot of stuff going. The 144,000 are protected. We see that in the fifth seal, these people are on the ark going, how long? And then in the sixth seal, we also see that um, something's being held back. The wind is being held back. So there's still restraining going on. We say the restrainer leaves as soon as we're raptured. We're kind of selfish. We kind of can only see our group, but we have to step back and say, who's this great multitude? They're very important too. God's not bringing them to heaven because he hates them. He's bringing them to heaven because he's going to change their hearts. And he's going to do it to a great multitude. The 144,000 might come to them in dreams, although I think they're coming they're coming closer to when the tribulation begins, honestly, because they're going to be in seal 6. You're going to see them in seal 6. That the 144,000 are sealed in seal 6. And you'll see this great multitude appear in heaven. So in my opinion, and this is just me speculating because I really don't know. I haven't been raptured yet. No one on earth that we know of in our lifetime this has ever happened to. So we have no frame of reference to say this is exactly how it's going to happen. We don't know. But the triumphant entry is on March 26th, Nissan 10. That's the triumphant entry. And it actually is exactly 70 Shemitah cycles, 70 of times 49 Shemitah cycles from when Joshua entered. He entered on March 26th, or Nissan 10. And exactly, that cycle exactly is March 26th of 2025. So that being said, we have 10 days to deal with. Now, I've had a lot of comments saying, oh, I know what that 10 days is, and you might be right. That might be the 10 days. But something tells me that because Noah had to sit in that ark for 10 days before God shut the door, and because Jesus had to wait 7 days before he could do the wave sheaf offering, and because Mary and Martha were unclean after burying Lazarus before they could have a meal with Jesus on the 8th day, we have this 7-day delay. You touch a dead body or go to a gravesite, you are unclean for 7 days. You cannot go near the gravesite. But the entire planet at this point, with billions of us dying, is a gravesite. So when Jesus went to heaven, he actually performed the wave sheaf offering 7 days later. He actually performed the wave sheaf offering on the day he came back to see Thomas in the upper room. He did it in the morning. He returned to Thomas in the upper room. So with that being said, 7 of these 10 days from Nissan 1 to Nissan 10, 7 of those days are explained. I don't know what the other 3 days are, but I have the same issue from when Jesus saw these people on the shore. He had bread and he was cooking fish, and he told them, cast your net on the other side. They drug in 153. But then I see there's this 3-day gap from that moment to when Jesus actually began his ministry or started walking with them, not ministry, started walking with them for 40 days until he was taken. I've worked on that, and I could show that to you here real quick. Let's see, is this the one I want to show you? This is the original timeline. The Gregorian dates are not actually accurate 100%, but the Hebrew dates are. Let me think. What was I talking about? Jesus, triumphant entry. We have this time span here from when Lazarus died on the 16th to the women being unclean for a full 7 days, and that's here, the 3 days. Mary and Martha have to perform a ceremony, and then 4 days they are clean, and then on the 8th day they have a meal with Lazarus, which happens both 6 days before the cross, which is here. Jesus, there it is. That's what I was talking about. Jesus was in the grave for 84 hours or 3.5 days. It wasn't 4, it was still 3.5 days. 84 hours. Jesus was in the grave. He rises. It's a Sunday morning. We know he rose on the first day. We also know that on the self same day, he sees Thomas in the upper room. It's also a Sunday, 7 days later. Then we have a thing in the Bible called no bread. It's a week of no bread. But Jesus is on the shore with bread and fish. Guess what? And you can't work on the Sabbath. When did these people go out to fish all night long and caught nothing? They left at sunset on Saturday. Sunday morning, Jesus was on the shore with bread and fish. It's the end of the week of no bread. He performs his wave sheaf offering. He does this, meets Thomas in the upper room. A week goes by. He disappears again. Where does he go for this period of time? I'm not sure. But then I had this 3-day problem. And I think that 3-day problem is answered with the 10 days that we see after Nissan 1 to Nissan 10 being the triumphant entry. Right here's the triumphant entry. The triumphant entry happens here on Nissan 10, which is March 26th. Again, I built this timeline 7 years ago, 6 years ago. I've always had these dates. Excuse me. And the further out I go, the more difficult it gets to make them line up because of that extra day until I recognize the 4 minutes per day. This is where he begins to walk with mankind. Ironically, it's the 5th of Iyar. This is when they say that Israel became a nation, which is inaccurate because they use a sliver moon being attacked here. But this is where he begins his 40 days with them, and then he ascends. He ascends here on Shavuot. He ascends 40 days after that point. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Wednesday uh, is a Sabbath. Sunday and Wednesday are Saturday and Wednesday are Sabbath. So he starts it on the Sabbath. He goes 40 days. He ascends. He ascends. This is uh, I believe Aaron's day. We just have a different day, but Jesus ascends on Shavuot. I believe that's Feast of Weeks. I'm not 100% sure if that's called Feast of Weeks or if it's Pentecost, it's called Feast of Weeks. Either way, they are 7 days apart. This happens Jesus ascends on a Sunday, Feast of Weeks, or Shavuot. And 7 days later, or 8 days inclusive, Sivan 21, June 5th, is the first Pentecost. This is when the Holy Spirit is given, right here. All right, so let me keep going. I don't want to go on too long. I could talk about this for hours. So we have two separate paths bringing us to here. And then all I did was simply say, well, I know that Paul was stopped on the Damascus Road, and nobody actually knows when. But if I go to the end of the tribulation, which is September the 24th, now tribulation will end. We know the Jews know it. A lot of historians and researchers know that September 24th is the day that the Day of Atonement is when they're either looking for their king back here in 2025, or they will actually get their king here in 2032. So all I did was count back 2,000 years. 2,000 years, I arrive at September 24th of 32 AD. For the most part, people are saying it was 2 to 3 years after Jesus went to the cross that Saul, renamed Paul, was stopped on the Damascus Road. And just mathematically, it was the Day of Atonement in 32 AD, September 24th, 32 AD. I thought that was incredible. So we see here, we will not be here for a single seal to be opened. We will have already been in heaven. We will be in heaven before even John shows up. He'll be the last to show up. And then we'll go through this. I personally think these 10 days are what kicks off the seals. I think after we're there for 10 days, we got those 3 days and those seven, just like we saw with Jesus, 3, 7, 7, 3. We see a 3 and a 7. I think that's why that's there. And then after 10 days, I think the first seal's open. And I think there's a seal open every single month until the sixth seal. And then I think we see this great multitude in heaven. We see them up in heaven. And then the seventh seal is opened, and it opens up the seven trumpets. I think the seven trumpets will be opened, and they will run for 3.5 years. This is a 7-year period right here. This is the 7-year period. And that's what the extra 6 months we keep seeing is for. This 7-year period will be split in half, which ironically is Apophis. It's split almost perfectly in half by Apophis. And it will, bowls will begin. I probably have them. Yeah, I just put it up there, but it's around here somewhere. Probably the anniversary. No, that's the anniversary of the flood. No, it is here. It is here. September and then October 31st. There's a space here, a period of time of 38 days between when the trumpets are available to be opened and something catastrophic happening on October the 31st in 2025. Then you go 1,260 days and you have all the trumpets open, and then you have the bowls, and that's when it gets real bad. This is when Satan goes in and proclaims himself to be God. This is when the two witnesses are killed, and 84 hours later, they're revived and brought to heaven. I do not know how long the 144,000 will be here. I don't know. I've had good comments on both sides. They're only here for the first half. They're here for all 7 years. I know they're sealed and they're protected, so nothing's going to happen to them during that period of time. That's Sister Sandy's work. That's some more math. Oh, I did that too, Moon. I thought I got rid of all this. My phone didn't update. Yeah, I got rid of all this stuff. My phone did not update with the pictures. Let's see. That's weird. Oh, yeah. So I won't be able to resume. I won't be able to show you the pictures that I had because these are old. My phone didn't update to my iCloud. So let me escape this. I wanted to show you a comment that somebody sent me. Is it here? Maybe it's here. No, it's not here. Is this it? Nope, it's not here. Somebody made a comment that I thought was really cool. It was funny. They said that it's hard to get people off of the moon. Uh, he said some. Yeah, I wish I had it. Oh, actually, I have it here. Let me read it. Let me read it here. I'll just read it off of here. So he said something to the effect of, you are the one who has been blessed with the 364-day stellar calendar knowledge. Everyone else are recovering lunar addicts. And when he said that, I laughed. I did a laugh out loud. I said, lunatics. That's where it comes from. That's a lunatic. It's a somebody who follows the moon. They're lunatics. And I was like, that's insane. All right, let me see. You can actually Google where the word lunatic comes from. It's a Latin word for luna, which means moon. Now, another thing that happened was what was that? 2014. This is 2024 plus 6 months, 2024. So that's 10 years and 6 months. That's kind of interesting. But the two cows were born with the sevens on their head, one with a large seven, one with a smaller seven. And kind of indicates to us that we're coming into a rough time. And if you calculate the 14 years from there, it actually lands right in the middle of Apophis, right around the time of Apophis, if you calculate the 14 years into that. So I thought that was pretty cool. I don't recall. Yeah, it's not going to update while I'm on it. So at any rate, I think that's all I have. I wanted to make a shorter video. Did you know that the Earth's water, only about 3% of it is fresh water, 97% of it is salt water? That's about how many people who will be raptured in this rapture, about 3% of the Christian faith. And you've got to make sure you get out there and tell people, if you see me go, if you see me go, they won't think it was aliens. They'll know because you will have told them while you were in a store about you're one of those crazy people that are trying to find the return of Christ. And while we don't know exactly, it's not for a lack of trying, that's for sure. So anyway, go to a quiet place by yourself. Nobody needs to know, and you don't need to tell anybody except the Lord into your heart. And I hope this shorter video will help. I feel like more in-depth study and explanations are better, but I guess that's just me. And like, comment, share, and subscribe. And we will chat with you again on the next video.